Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all in today's webinar with Peplink. Today's host is Jim. He's our contact person at Peplink, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and I'll read them off to Jason at the end of today's presentation. Jason, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge today, and you are ready to take it over. Thank you again.
All right, thanks so much, Julie. As Julie mentioned, my name is Jason Kropp. I'm one of the technical sales engineers over here at Peplink, and today we're going to do a bit of a deep dive on our proprietary SpeedFusion VPN. First off, what is it? Peplink's patented SpeedFusion tech powers enterprise VPNs, tapping into the bandwidth of up to 13 internet connections simultaneously. SpeedFusion then pumps your data down that aggregated pipe, making it a budget-friendly, ultra-fast, and easily configurable deployment to suit any networking environment that saves you a lot more money than your standard MSP solutions. The way it works is like this. Each session is broken down at the packet level. Every packet gets 256-bit AES military-grade encryption, and then those packets are sent down each WAN link going through the tunnel. If we do have a WAN failover within the tunnel, that traffic can fail over sub-second, meaning your persistent applications are going to stay up when going through the VPN. Packets hit the other side of the tunnel on the WAN, get unencrypted, reassembled, and away you go. Some of the more basic terms that I want to make sure that we understand going forward is first, hot failover. You may also hear this called session persistence. The way this works is that the VPN is established on all active links, but we are only sending the data down one link at a time. We are not aggregating the connections at this point. However, if one of those WANs do fail, you do get routed to the second WAN within the tunnel, giving you that persistence on the application. It does mean uninterrupted data during the handoff from one WAN to the other. Bonding is a little different. We are again establishing the tunnel on all active internet connections in SpeedFusion, and then we're splitting the application traffic across all the WANs. This does mean you can get increased throughput. However, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Certain link combinations are not going to be very realistic. Basically, if you are bonding disparate connections together, a fast to a slow, the math can bring down your overall aggregation. However, if a link does fail, you are again going to achieve session persistence from WAN A to WAN B, giving you that uninterrupted handoff. WAN smoothing, a relatively new addition to the SpeedFusion family, again, is a little different as well. You're again establishing the tunnel on all the WAN links, but what we are doing is sending redundant copies of the data through each of the connections. Basically, the copy that arrives first is going to be used. Now, if a link does fail, the redundant copy is going to automatically be used, giving you a zero interruption or delay of the traffic. Smoothing does then optimize traffic for a more stable latency, jitter, packet loss, etc. So the basic way to say this is that you are sacrificing aggregation for consistency. If with aggregation, it's 2 plus 2 gets you about 3.8, with WAN smoothing, 2 plus 2 gets you a very hard 2. And the way these terms all intersect with each other is, think of it as a pyramid. At the baseline level, we have our PEP VPN, which is basically an IPsec analog compatible with all SpeedFusion modes. And by default, we do deploy at layer 3 on the IP level, but you can certainly deploy this at the layer 2 level as well. Layered on top of that would be the hot failover, giving you, again, that session persistence from WAN to WAN fail. On top of that, aggregation, that gives you that 2 plus 2 gives you about 3.8, losing a little bit off the top for maintenance upkeep of the VPN. And finally, WAN smoothing, giving you that consistency across the top. Now, when you have your SpeedFusion tunnel up and running, you can start to use this with our outbound policy algorithms. SpeedFusion is treated as if it was a virtual WAN in the balance, allowing you to set a rule to it. If you want to route, for example, your mission critical data through the tunnel to take advantage of aggregation, smoothing, etc., you can set a policy for that. If you want to screen non-essential data just out the local internet connections, also easily done. So basically, SpeedFusion and outbound policy can work in tandem side by side. A new term that's taken through the industry is what we call SD-WAN, or software-defined WAN. And this is really a succinct way to describe what we do. By definition, it's a revolutionary way to simplify branch networking and give you that optimal application performance by using centrally controlled and located virtual WANs. Now, unlike a physical WAN, SD-WAN delivers increased network agility and cost reduction, abstracting the network from the applications that are going to use it. And there are really 4 bullet points that apply to this. Number 1, SD-WAN is transport technology agnostic. That meaning it could be an MPLS, a cable modem, LTE device, it doesn't matter. Secondly, it does allow for load sharing of traffic across those multiple WAN connections dynamically and efficiently. Thirdly, this should dramatically simplify the complexity of the network, especially when we come to the management, configuration, and orchestration, or the implementation of all the internet connections on the deployment. And finally, SD-WAN must provide a secure VPN for the network and have the ability to integrate those network resources, whether you're scaling up or down, and offload the internet destined traffic closer to the edge router. The term really has come into play here over the last couple of years or so, and as you can see, this started to hit most of the people in the know late 2014, and the use of the term has only expanded really exponentially. We do expect that by 2019, over 30% of the IT personnel are going to be familiar and looking for those SD-WAN solutions. So why are we adopting the term? Well, by the definition provided, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. SD-WAN is really kind of the first standard industry-wide term that really describes what SpeedFusion does. And by using this term, you can kind of simplify the conversation with those who aren't necessarily in the know. And this term is pretty useful for avoiding confusion with those traditional server load balance products. Now, we're not replacing any of the terms that Peplink uses with SD-WAN, but think of it as a good shorthand to describe what we do. Now, how does it fit with Peplink? Well, going through each of the bullet points, WAN virtualization is a part and parcel with what SpeedFusion is. Peplink does allow you to build one logical WAN using those multiple technologies, DSL, MPLS, cell, fiber, Wi-Fi, we don't care. SpeedFusion, of course, is a secure VPN, giving branch offices access to gain secure local network access to the cloud. With our InControl 2 platform, this is a centrally managed and monitored deployment that is intelligently managed as well by the Peplink gear on site. Basically, once you set the rules for how you want to route traffic, walk away, we're doing what we need to do. So really, Peplink is a leader in WAN virtualization with our SpeedFusion technology. We have a vast array of mobile products that can be used with the deployment. We have our cloud-based InControl 2 platform to keep an eye on things, and also introducing Fusion Hub, our virtual appliance, into the mix. You can actually start to virtualize those endpoints as well. SpeedFusion to kind of get to the brass tacks, is very easy to set up and deploy. Strictly speaking, all you need is 2 SpeedFusion capable units, and at this point it would be the Peplink Balance, which would be from the Balance 210 on up. The Balance 1 does have SpeedFusion add-ons to certainly bring it into the mix. Our PepWave Max devices, which is our cellular-focused devices, both the HD as well as the Max 700 series. Actually need to update this slide on current firmware. Our VR products can as well. And then our Fusion Hub devices, the virtual VMware instance that you can install on a server. Secondly, we do need at least 1 publicly routable IP on at least one of the WANs in use. Static is ideal, but it isn't required. Now, if you have a dynamic public IP, just go ahead and register it with a supported DDNS service, and we can use it to terminate the tunnel against the host name. To start going through the configuration process, there's really 2 ways to go about it. First off, we're going to talk about our InControl 2 platform and the ability to deploy SpeedFusion from the cloud. Now, this is available both at the organization and group levels within InControl, and we do support all 3 of the deployments that you would be able to through the UI, hub and spoke, fully meshed, as well as a point-to-point. Very easy to set up. So at the organization or the group level, just go ahead and choose PepVPN SpeedFusion. On the next screen, you're going to hit that Add Profile button, and then we're deciding what topology that we're going to be deploying in. For the star deployment, basically you start first by choosing your center or hub, and then where you're terminating against on the endpoints. And then you go ahead and hit Next. For the point-to-point, a little different. You're just simply delineating which peers are going to be in the tunnel. And that's much the same with our fully meshed deployment as well, who's all going to participate. Once you've gone ahead and selected, you then start to set up the profile options accordingly. And again, these are all going to be the same options that you get through the UI as well. And as you can see, you get fairly granular with the deployment. Once you have your profile built, it's simply a case of saving changes, and then it pushes down that profile to the affected units. Once you're up and running, you can then view your deployment both on a GPS map level, or if your network does get too busy, we do have a logical diagram deployment as well that you can keep an eye on things. To manually configure SpeedFusion, it's a lot easier. All you're doing is logging into the UI. First step is to assign a local ID to the unit. This name can be whatever you want it to be. We've gone this route for something easier to type, honestly. Save and apply your changes, and then you have access to the new profile option. Once you get into the profile, it's much the same as we saw in InControl 2 as well. You're naming the profile. This is just an identification of the VPN. You're entering the remote ID of the remote Peplink unit. The remote ID is the local ID of the other side. And then you would be designating the WAN IP or the DDNS host name of the remote peer. Save and apply your changes. Down below here, you do see the WAN connection priority settings, and this is where you start to make some of those decisions at what level of SpeedFusion you want to deploy. By default, we assume aggregation. All the WAN priorities are set equally. Now, if you wanted to more favor persistence over aggregation, you would then just merely dial down the priority of the particular WAN setting. WAN smoothing is a simple toggle up above where you are then designating basically how much redundant data that you set to the other side, single, double, or triple. Once completed, you are then able to view the status from the UI dashboard and get details of both send and receive traffic, as well as status of each of the WANs that are participating. And as you can see, the way SpeedFusion works, the bigger the box, the more you can push through it. Starting again at the Balance 1 level, we started about 30 meg synchronous throughput through the tunnel, going up on our Balance 2500 to 2 gigs of throughput. As mentioned before, both the balance 1 does require an unlock for that peer increase to go from the starting 2 to 5 or 20. And then the balance 305, as well as the HD2 mini and the the HD4, needs that same unlock to go from 2 to 20. Short to the point, this is how SpeedFusion works with Peplink products. Hope it all makes sense. And if not, Julie, what kind of questions do we have?
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much. Let me see here. Can you tell us a little bit about where the SpeedFusion and the different related products are manufactured?
Well, SpeedFusion, in and of itself isn't a product. It's a feature of our products. So whether, so it's not really where it's all our products are manufactured internationally. I believe Taiwan is where things come out of, and our global office, again, is out of Hong Kong. But as far as SpeedFusion itself, it's part and parcel with the gear. If you bought one of the boxes, you have the feature.
That's what I meant. Thank you so much. Let's see, we have a question here. Is there a subscription for this particular service? Is there like an annual subscription?
Not at all. As I was saying, SpeedFusion or PepVPN, depending on which level of product you purchase, part and parcel with the gear. There is no licensing fees to be able to use the service in and of itself. The only difference in there would be the amount of concurrent tunnels or peer VPNs you can have up and running. And those are, again, with the Balance 1, the Balance 305, as well as a couple of the HDs, where they do the 2 concurrent tunnels by default, but you can increase that up to 20 with the unlock. And even that's a one-time purchase. You're not continually paying to get those additional tunnels.
Okay, thank you. I think we've got some more questions coming in here shortly.
Sure.
Could you tell us about the support from Peplink for this type of, for SpeedFusion or anything else? What kind of support can we depend on from you guys?
Well, of course, that if we're talking from the end user level, Microcom, you guys are that first line of defense. Getting the basic information out of the way, answering those basic questions. But if you are not able to answer those questions, certainly reach out to those of us here at Peplink to help further. We do have that priority.support email queue for you guys to go through on. But again, that's the general flow. The end user touches base with you guys. If you guys can't answer, reach out to us.
Great, thank you very much. It looks like I've got another question here for you.
Sure.
Can the SpeedFusion determine right away which LAN, WAN, or mobile is failing or causing problems in the links to isolate the issue for more troubleshooting?
Yes. Well, we've kind of asked a few things here. As far as trying to determine link failure within the tunnel, if you, going back to what I was mentioning, let's see, on the status screen here from the dashboard. So if you're logged into a particular, and this will be much the same within Control 2 as well. If you hit that status button here from the dashboard, you're going to see some more of the detailed reporting information for the tunnel. You will see which WANs are communicating within the tunnel. It's basically green is go, red is stop. You'll see data being sent across each of the WAN connections, and you can also graph that stuff out as well, including drop packets. So you can absolutely keep an eye on to see if there is an underperforming WAN within the tunnel. And that's actually one of the first troubleshooting steps, honestly, if you're having SpeedFusion throughput issues, is let's make sure all of the WANs are working as expected outside of the tunnel to make sure that they're all working in tandem within it.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. I've got another question for you. If I have
Sure.
an existing license key, can I transfer from one Fusion hub to another?
Strictly speaking, I mean, in and of itself, no, but what we generally do is there is a process for migrating from one Fusion hub to another. It's reach out to us, we'll help you out.
Thank you very much. Jason, I appreciate you being here today, and it looks like we've got
Sure.
everyone's thumbs up on a wonderful presentation.
Wonderful.
Let's see here. Yes, thank you, thank you. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending today as well. And if there's any further questions out there, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned and SpeedFusion shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember that this webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so it can be viewed again. So thank you, Jason, for your time this morning. Appreciate your slideshow and the slide deck rather. And have a wonderful day, everybody. And we'll talk again very soon.
Thanks so much again, guys, for letting me come and talk about the products. As Julie said, any questions, reach out to their team, reach out to us. We'll get you taken care of. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Bye.